Hello, and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. My name is Della, Shea, and I am the Chief Data Governance and Privacy Officer at Symcor. And we are partnering with the CDO Magazine, MIT CDO IQ, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers in this series. Today, I am very pleased to have Robin Sutara with me, who is the Chief Data Officer for Microsoft in the UK. Thank you, Robin, for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Della, for the invitation.
So, Robin, you have a really interesting background. So I think before we get started, it'd be really interesting to hear about your journey and how you ended up as the CDO for Microsoft in the United Kingdom.
Absolutely, Della. Thank you so much. So obviously, Robin Sutara. I am currently the Chief Data Officer of Microsoft UK. I have almost 23 years at Microsoft. So I like to tell people I started when I was like 12. So I'm definitely fulfilling most of my adult life here at Microsoft. I've had various roles here within the company. Actually started my career very technical. I was hired to support Internet Explorer 5 on Windows 3.1. For consumers. So I used to answer all those phone calls when people couldn't get their serial mouse or their printer to work. But it was great fun. Survived Y2K and ultimately went into more of an enterprise scale sort of support role. Again, very technical, but more breadth and supporting some of our largest automotive manufacturers as they sort of implemented Microsoft technologies. From there, I actually sort of did a career pivot into business. So went more on the business operations and business management side, supporting our first foray into the cloud services. This was very early into the cloud's first evolution and had a great chance to sort of drive from a business perspective. What did that mean for how we were going to do things like contracting, engagement with customers, et cetera. And that is when I finally landed my first data job, which was just an amazing opportunity to have a team of data analysts that looked at customer and partner data along with sentiment, external analysis, to look at how was Microsoft going to transform their business, leveraging data in a way that actually allowed us to rethink things like our licensing models, our account team relationships, sort of every aspect to how we delivered for some of our biggest enterprise customers. And it was really a sort of an interesting, I think, journey at that point. It was we were going through an internal transformation. I think lots of people are familiar with Microsoft's own transformation and becoming a data-driven organization. And this was the transition from Steve Ballmer to Satya. And so it was really interesting to sort of watch us go from an environment of what is the data telling us in a reporting type of function to how do we actually learn from the data and start to actually, really sort of drive things differently through people, through process, through our sort of operational efficiencies, et cetera. And so that was just a great opportunity about 10 years ago to do that role. I again sort of pivoted a little bit technical and started thinking about end-to-end data strategies and implementations across organizations. Went into the engineering organization where, again, I took on a business role. So again, this sort of squiggly between technical and business as the Chief Operations Officer for Azure Data Engineering. And then about 15 months ago, came into the UK as one of the first subsidiaries in the world for Microsoft to create a Chief Data Officer. And so it's just been a phenomenal journey.
That's really interesting. You really have this commingled ebb and flow between technology and business and now data. And Microsoft has always been at the forefront of technology, obviously, and as well as really leading the way in terms of those data agendas. So now that you're in this data role, how are you seeing data and analytics helping you inform the development of products and services? So kind of going beyond the company efficiencies, et cetera, to now what is that future and how is that really data driven?
Yeah, it's super interesting when you think about actual product development. I have to admit, when I spent the 3 years with the engineering organization, Microsoft has always sort of taken a first-party to third-party approach. So a lot of the technology solutions that we provide to our customers are actually things we developed in-house, right, to solve sort of our own business, our own sort of technology needs and the necessity. So if you think of things like Cosmos DB, which is multi-master sort of global cloud-based innovation database that was actually created to solve for things like Xbox and Teams and Skype, right? Because they had to be real time. It had to be the same experience globally. And so the team really worked on how do we solve this for Microsoft, and then we could deliver it to customers who also had that same need or necessity. I think Purview is another great example. So that's our governance platform. It originated for how Microsoft, set about to solve our own GDPR compliance to ensure that we had, a good catalog with classifications of our data assets across the organization. And so I would say customer needs have absolutely been at the center of all of our product development and service development. It was always interesting to see how much customers shape the roadmap for Microsoft based on thank you for this first party service, but it doesn't quite meet this need or this capability or this scale, and so it's always been that open dialogue with customers and truly allowing the data we receive from customers on how they use the services, where they feel the gaps are, to really sort of influence that.
It's really powerful, actually, when you think about data, certainly. When I think back my own history, where organizations were guessing a lot of the time, doing market research, trying to do focus groups, but really having the customer part of that ongoing development, iteration, and evolving those products and services, it's really starting to shape in terms of truly being that data-driven and that digital society where customers really are at the center of that. So it's really interesting. I find it very fascinating hearing how Microsoft is embracing that, certainly as a technology company, and coming from the financial services and business processing, it's certainly things that I think we can learn from in our own industries as well. So on behalf of the CDO Magazine and this MIT CDO IQ and the International Society of Chief Data Officers, I'd like to thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much, Della, for the opportunity. It's wonderful to meet you.